Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got a great one lined up for you this morning. It is July 2nd, 2021. I'm going to start giving the date I've been asked to. XRP price support resistance lines, what we need to know going into this long holiday weekend, head on a swivel. And guess what? The Fed's repo program is in big trouble. The forecast calls for pain. We're going to get into that. We've been covering it for quite some time. USDT Tether, it's having trouble, and it could have huge implications on the entire crypto market. Ripple and XRP mentioned in an official U.S. bill. We'll take it apart. John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan give perspectives on aspects of the SEC Ripple case. You're going to want every bit of it. Jeremy Hogan also speaks on confiscation of XRP and relates it to the gold confiscation back in the day. And Ripple provokes a wider debate. You know what? We got a lot to unpack. Let's roll that beautiful intro.
This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow me on Twitter at BackupBradleyAbove, and everything that we're talking about here today. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and Facebook, ladies and gentlemen. We are on Facebook now, just recently, almost 3,000 followers there. Digital Perspectives News, no spaces. Make sure you give us a like and follow. We will be doing some lives in the near-term future. So, all right, take a look here. The market cap right now is 1.3 trillion plus. It hasn't moved a lot. We've kind of been here the last couple days, but the price is starting to roll over. We've been in a serious resistance line of 66 cents, and now XRP coming in at 63 cents. And we will take a look at the range very quickly here. And before we do, I want to tell you, I just showed yesterday in the interview conversation that I had with Quincy Jones, the developer, which was an amazing conversation. There will be a part 2 to that conversation coming later today for you. I do want to let you know, I Trust Capital, we had him stop by as well and leave some really great information for us, which I shared a piece of that yesterday in that interview. They have the best crypto gold silver IRA in the planet. If you're interested in moving one over, you can. If it's a crypto IRA from somewhere else, if you're going cash and you want to get into crypto or cash or gold silver with them at iTrust, I encourage you to check that out because they are the best offering on the planet. Right now, we're looking at 63 cents on the low end, 67 cents on the high end. You know, one of the things for me as a non-expert of the technical analysis, and that's why I appreciate so many of what I consider to be the experts, for which we are going to hear from one of them before we get out of here today on what to pay attention to. So, with that being said, 66 cents has been a huge resistance line for us. We've retreated a bit from that. We hovered there for a long time. We didn't get the strength to get past it. And even when we did touch past it, we didn't range completely above it. So this is where we are now. We've seen a slight rollover. We may see this all weekend. We may not, but keep your head on a swivel. It's crypto. You never know. Look at this. Now, I've told you guys, I've been a fan of Casino Coin for a very long time, and I'm excited because it seems to be having some good news. There's obviously some adoption. People are opening accounts, and I can't wait to hear, more news roll out about what they're getting done. Recently, the biggest news was moving Casino Coin to the XRP ledger, which made me even more bullish on it. But again, this is not financial advice, just full disclosure. I do hold the coin, right? So I'm very excited about it. But look at this. Look at the new accounts they were adding every day here. Look at that. They're just really going up. I mean, that's remarkable. So shout out to them and everything that they're doing. Very excited to watch that unfold. And this is your bro Quincy. All right, you know what time it is. Mathematically, there is not enough power on the planet to scale Bitcoin past 10 to 15% of the global population. There you have it. This young man is extremely bright, and I love his insights. He's 24 years old, and I'm just blown away. I mean, how smart this guy is. I mean, he's a coder, developer. I mean, he's got it going on, and his insights and perspectives about this space when it comes to, a regulated market versus where we are now. He has incredible insights on that. I will be releasing part 2 of that interview later today. Keep an eye out for it. You're going to want it. It is fire. And thank you to Quincy. I really appreciate you stopping by, my friend. And here we see a post from me sharing, retweeting Gold Telegraph. You should follow Gold Telegraph. I said, wait a minute. And it says, Tether, Bridge Mutual intends to provide discretionary coverage for investors against the possibility of a major depegging. But here's the problem. Tether itself is backing the play. Ooh, that just sounds ugly, right? That just sounds ugly. So they're backing the idea that there may be a major depegging of their own dollar stablecoin. Oh my. Stay tuned. We're going to keep following that. Gold Telegraph is really one of those people out here to get some great information. So we'll look for some more articles and things of that nature to really verify what's going on and where that may land. The implications on the crypto space, especially the Bitcoin market, ETH, and things like that. I mean, that could be a colossal hit for the crypto broadly. We'll keep an eye on it. And if it is, how about USDC that's climbing up the charts, right? You know, adding 8 to 10 new networks that they're going to be on. Do we see the early beginnings of the public-private relationship with the Fed? And could the USD coin become the digital dollar for the U.S.? We'll see. 432 Hertz here says Ripple and XRP mentioned twice in an official U.S. bill proposal, and this actually goes back to last year, and we're about to touch on it here. It says potential future platform for significant remittances. Ripple's XRP was mentioned in relation to cross-border payment system in the proposed bill text. It says the pending action and document on remittance transfer under Electronic Fund Transfer Act is still in discussion until January 2021. The mention was immediately recognized as potentially positive for XRP on social media. We covered this when it came out last year. And it says here, this final rule is effective July 21st, 2020. Far as I understand it, this rule is effective now. The problem is that this isn't the only agency that has to rule on such matters. What's important is that the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection is in fact an enforcement agency for the banking system. If you're a bad actor, this is one of the agencies that's going to chase you down and hold you accountable for everything you've done or not done, right? So that's important to note. Now, we covered this last summer. So this is a year ago. But what I do want to show you is the point that they're talking about here on page 40, where the Bureau has continued to monitor the remittance transfer market since the publication of the assessment report and observes that most of these developments continue to progress. Examples include the continued growth and expanding functionality of society for worldwide interbank financial telecommunications, which is SWIFT, the acronym, Global Payments Innovation, which is GPI tracking product, which can increase the amount of upfront information available to sending institutions, and the expansion of major payment card networks, capacity to support cross-border payments. Now listen as we get into this next section coming up here. The continued growth of fintech, non-bank remittance transfer providers, and their further expansion into partnerships and other relationships with banks and credit unions, which allows such entities to tap into the closed network payment systems that non-bank remittance transfer providers have developed, and the continued growth and expanding partnerships of virtual currency companies such as Ripple, which offer both a payments messaging platform to support cross-border money transfers, as well as a virtual currency XRP, which can be used to effect settlement of those transfers, essentially citing that Swift's GPI and the complement of Ripple software and XRP, the token, the currency, right, can be used to their understanding of everything for the first time for cross-border payments to show transparency before the sender and receiver actually accept payment. They have transparency on what it'll cost and the path to payment and settlement for the first time in cross-border payment history. Now, that is a very, very big deal. I just want to remind people again, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, is in fact an enforcement agency. So think about the weight of that enforcement agency giving their blessing to something like Ripple and XRP a year ago. Now let's turn and focus on some aspects from John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan here on aspects of the SEC case. Specifically, he's talking about William Hinman's deposition. And John Deaton says here, and shout out to you, my friend, it won't be long. I want to get you, Attorney Seal, and Jeremy Hogan an open invite to all of us get together and discuss this case very soon. I think it would be really, really good to have a roundtable on that if you guys are available. Mr. Hinman's deposition isn't even close call under applicable law. The truth should have its day. Why did he give an unnecessary, gratuitous speech on Ethereum and then meet with the Ethereum Foundation? And why are taxpayers paying his legal fees to fight a subpoena? Oh, John Deaton is good. He's good. They never, you know what? They never saw you coming, John Deaton. That is a good thing. Jeremy Hogan says, I already stated the Hinman deposition will occur in his opinion. Interesting in this Ripple motion is some juicy details. Hinman meeting with the Ethereum Foundation and consensus shortly after the ETH is not a security speech. See page 4 and 5. I'd love to listen in on this deposition. We will keep you posted. I'm not going to pull that up and go through all the deposition pages, but it is moving forward. And if they do have him at deposition, I tell you, it will be exciting to see whatever we could get released to us on the public side. All right, here we have Jeremy Hogan again. He says, I'm not sure if this lawyer knows what he's talking about, but he sure does look good. He's talking about himself here. And this was an interview he did with XRP_John Quincy, I believe it is. And I'm going to bring this to you real quick here. Yeah, I love that intro.
Yeah, so the thing that really concerns me about the risk alert was when you're going to really go after an industry, for example, and we do have an example we can look at in the U.S. history, because back in the 1930s, the U.S. government basically outlawed gold, right? And they took all the gold away. It's complicated why they wanted to do that, but they did it. Mm-hmm. And you didn't have like armed soldiers bursting into people's homes and running around pointing guns at them saying, do you have gold? Do you have gold? The way that you would do that is you go to the people that are professionals in the industry, the gold dealers, the miners, all those kind of people, because that's the easiest way really to make something, to confiscate or to make something illegal. Mm-hmm. Same thing with, when we had the prohibition when in the 30s, I think, when we couldn't sell or buy alcohol. The way that the government does that is they go after the licenses of people. They go after the licenses of restaurant owners and bar owners and those type of people.
And there you have it right there. And shout out to John Quincy, XRP, and Jeremy Hogan for that piece of information. The reason that I'm showing that clip is because I want to remind people of the conversation I just had with Quincy Jones on this channel and how relevant it is, because we're not trying to be alarmist. But the reality here is that I have played you many times on this channel that Gary Gensler believes in fact, that the majority of the cryptos in this space, even outside of some of them being ICOs, that they are in fact, to him, digital asset securities. If you take that in mind, you would have to ask yourself what we've been talking about here. And we've mentioned this on the channel, and he touched on it with the analogy. The early example of gold being confiscated, they didn't come break down your door and come into your house. Oh, no. So how would that work if something like that were to take place? Very unlikely, but if it were to take place, or they make a decision that you now need to be an accredited investor to continue to get it, and those who have it should consider yourself lucky you do, right? And if there were a designation that separated it, security or otherwise, right? Then you may be looking at the exchanges. There's where the pressure point is. And how about that? The notion that U.S. retail is already feeling that exact thing. Because if we want it, we have to go outside to a cryptocurrency platform or a platform like Uphold or trade into it on BitTrue outside the country. To a degree, it's actually unofficially happened, is my point, right? The pressure is on the exchanges. That's where we get it. And that's where we used to get it. And we're not getting it now unless you use an Uphold. And thankfully, for those couple exchanges, we can still get it there. So the question remains, and I think this really sums it up here from Rosalind Layton. Inconsistent treatment XRP suggests regulators don't understand cryptocurrencies or that the SEC just doesn't like Ripple. It's one or the other, right? John Deaton, Carol Goforth, and Kurt Levy discuss enforcement as regulation, which is always a bad idea. Now let's take a look at here. I'm just going to give you a couple things here because I just wanted to show you this particular line where it talks about, she also observed that XRP has many uses for which the SEC's action has not necessarily precluded. People still use it as a form of exchange. Moreover, the DOJ FinCEN settlement does not exonerate Ripple of other charges. It is notable that the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, has not revoked the case. Listen to this next line. It's so important. However, his preference is for Congress to clarify how the SEC should proceed. This admission confirms the view that Gary Gensler's predecessor, Jay Clayton, acted capriciously on a whim. Because, I want to build on this, because Gary Gensler has been vocal since his time taking the position at the SEC and saying that he's calling on Congress to clarify these things for him. I believe we're not going to see the real motion in this market until Congress gives him what he needs. I believe Gary Gensler has an entire idea and framework probably already put together and laid out about how to handle these things, but he needs the blessing from Congress in order to do it properly. That's my speculation about his position so far as the SEC chair. And if that is correct, then we're not going to see a lot, regardless of the case, and the case could settle today, right? This morning. Could have settled last night, and they ain't told us yet. But I'm just speaking to the fact of what he needs to do to bring a unified, regulated market to the cryptocurrency space, not just XRP. We need to see Congress put something through. And we know how Congress and government works. Very slow until it moves very fast. We've got to keep an eye on the legislative side on this thing because I believe the pressure has now been put on Congress to give the SEC what they need to regulate what is normally a $2 trillion plus market. My point being is this can't sit like this forever. Gary Gensler has basically said, I'm sitting on my hands until Congress gives us what we need. That is a huge signal in my mind. Now, looking down here, I did want to show this. Leaning into a Ripple test, we've been saying this a long time here, hashtag Ripple test to go along and complement the Howey test for the digital asset cryptocurrency market. And the same thing is reiterated here. I do believe, I don't think we need to replace the Howey test per se, but we should have a Ripple test that goes along with it. Now, if that becomes an extension of the 4-prong Howey test, so be it. But I do believe we need those extra tenets and bullet points of what would be a Ripple test for the digital asset space. Looking right here very quickly, I want to remind everybody to level set. Here's what the problem really is. You want to know how long they got? Well, they don't have long. And here's how we know why. Over a year and a half ago, I used to do a show with a very dear friend, Dave Valliers, formerly known as Cryptopolis. He's extremely, extremely smart guy. And I really, really look back on those times and those shows we used to do together with great fondness. I have learned so much from him. But the reality here is, if you're not aware, the repo market is the overnight lending market for banks. It got so bad with the overnight lending market that banks wouldn't lend to each other before the pandemic was even here. And the problem hasn't gone away. The overnight lending market had to have the Fed step in because banks wouldn't lend to each other overnight, because they understand that at some point this house of cards comes down. And they don't want to lend to another bank knowing, I'm not sure if tomorrow morning might be the day the house of cards come down and you're not able to pay me back. It is important for banks to get their books right overnight before next business day. So that's what the repo back-end lending market is for one another. Because the Fed has had to come in and cover the spread on what banks won't do for each other, it is now expanded and sees demand soar to just under $1 trillion lending overnight. That's how much of a shortfall the banks are having on the daily. Any questions? I'm sure they'll just print more money. It's no big deal. Looking right here, looking at price, Dark Defender says, hi there, all. XRP has broken 66 cents yesterday and touched 70 cents yesterday. Elliott Wave 1 ended. 66 cents is a critical level. If XRP can't hold, 66.57 cents will be the support lines to look out for. On the rollover, currently we are in Elliott Wave 2, which is a correction wave. This will be followed by Elliott Wave 3, which could send us to 83 cents and $1.33. How about that? That's where we are on this morning. Make sure you guys check this out. I just did a golf tournament and go hang with these guys and a bunch of Heisman Trophy winners. And I'm going to tell you something, they're incredible people and they're doing incredible things. And I don't know another private equity company that is working harder to try to make it as available as possible to as many people as possible. Although you must be accredited, and you can go to their site and see if you are. You, maybe your wife together are. Right? But you can go and check it out. And they have some amazing products. I remind you, they had Coinbase on here before it went public. It was selling for $31, $32 a share. And when it went public, it was near $400. So I don't think I need to say much more than that. Link 2 out right now. Let's see. Let's give it a refresh here and see if we got something back on the board here. I mean, look at this. And don't forget, they're tied in anything to anything. If you are a accredited investor, you can now buy direct from Uphold with your crypto private equity. Get some of that. Link 2's back on the board. The Uphold sold out, and so did the Kraken, and Ripple's gone for the moment too, but that's how this stuff moves. Don't mess around. If you're interested in it, make sure you give them a contact. All right, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe and leave a comment below. I will catch all of you on the next one.